Here in America, the latest set that just came out a few days ago is 500 years in the future. It is set 7 of the One Piece card game. Japan actually just got set 8, and they have their announcement for set 9 on the, going through all that, which is really cool. It's going to be about the 4 Emperors. I'll probably talk about that more when set 9 comes rolling around here in the States. But 3 of the prominent leaders are Vegapunk, Bonnie, and Lucci. Why am I telling you all this? Because I started to like saying something before I do my usual hello. I know I always start my videos with just the simple, hello internet, but I actually kind of like doing this little opening thing. So I'm trying to change it up and do that a little more often. Hello internet, I am the hero of Julios once again with another One Piece chapter summary. This week's chapter is chapter 1119, Emmet, which honestly, no one could have predicted that title. The artwork is interesting this week. It's Yamato's journey. She has begun her trek across all of Wano, and a few kids are pelting Yamato with rocks because sins of the father and all that, Oh, you're the child of Kaido. Well, we don't like Kaido, so we decided we don't like you. It's really easy to blame someone for what their parents did, and I mean, hey, that's another thing Yamato and Ace have in common, isn't it? They both got blamed for things their dads did. Huh. Bummer. So that's pretty much all we saw there. But let's get into the actual chapter itself with... I'm sorry, we interrupt the action-packed sci-fi fantasy adventure of One Piece to bring you a soap opera where Stussy is just in tears as Kaku's telling her, friends? We were never friends. You were maybe a colleague who I respected because you had some stone cold killer blood in you, but we were never friends. I never cared about you. Lucci's gonna come here soon, and I'm not gonna be able to stop what he does. So do me a favor and just leave. Naturally, Stussy is extremely distraught by this, and I don't blame her. It's really sad. I really thought, she had gotten through to him, but I think Kaku's covering up some tears of his own. We barely know, Stussy as a character. She was a clone of Bakin, and we've got this underlying, do I deserve to exist because I'm living someone else's life kind of thing? Well, I have someone else's face. She didn't really live the life that Bakin lived. But poor Stussy, we've spent so little time with them, yet I want to see them happy now. Stussy, Kaku, just ditch Lucci. I'm sorry. Dude's bad news. Dude, after everything that has happened, Lucci still wants to, capture Nico Robin and kill because the Navy or the world government lets him, and get away with, whatever it is his bloodlust desires. Dude gave a full report to the elders, barely even realizing it was the elders he was speaking to, or at least I don't think Lucci was privy to that knowledge. I mean, look at what happened after CP9 failed, and the government was like, well, you guys survived the Buster call, but, you also failed to catch Nico Robin, so you're all fired, and then somehow they all became CP0. Personally, I'm really hoping for a flashback explaining how Lucci and Kaku managed to get promotions rather than executions. Regardless of what happened there, though, I just want them to be happy. I mean, we know deep down Kaku enjoyed his job at Galley Law. I think if he and Stussy just went back to Water 7, Kaku could get his job back, maybe work as the lowest guy on the totem pole for a bit. Stussy could come in as a second secretary maybe, or heck, she's strong enough, she could be a shipwright too. Two of them, have a wonderful life together. Kaku starts a beautiful career. They have wonderful giraffe succubus babies together, and I can't believe I'm saying this, but I really want Cypher Pole Zero agents to be happy. I think the two of them deserve this at this point. I think Kaku's been through enough. I think he really has learned his lesson. This is not the job for him. Am I focusing too much on the drama of this chapter? Maybe, but Oda, please. We have enough terrible things happening. We had all of Kuma's backstory. Can we please just have someone get a happy ending today? So after the drama, I guess, we cut to Luffy and Bonnie, and boy do the two of them look happy. Luffy's laughing it up because he's Nika again. Bonnie is squealing like a little schoolgirl because she's, got the super future, she's got the future where she's most free, and she truly believes it's possible thanks to her devil fruit. And so Mars, the elder closest to what's going on here, he's relaying the info to the others, and he's like, okay guys, there's two Nikas now, and I'm assuming it's Warcury who calls out to him and says, don't pay mind to the second one. That is just an illusion caused by the age fruit. And so Mars lets out a big blast of fire that Luffy inflates to absorb, and as it's hitting Luffy, he's, yelling at how hot it is, but he also tells his crew to hit him with everything they've got, because, as he explained to the giants, you can't destroy these guys. They just regenerate. You can't slice them, you can't smash them, you can't crush them. The only way we're going to win this is by taking a page out of Eustace Kid and Trafalgar Law's book and win by ring out. So that's what they do. Frankie and Sanji get ready to wail on Luffy, and Bonnie's just like, guys, are you sure you heard him right? Because it sounded like he said, please punch me. And Sanji's like, the captain's orders are absolute. And Frankie says, yep, got to give it all we got. And they both get ready. They're both throwing their best attacks. I believe Sanji's using Ifrit Jambe, and Frankie's using, I think the word in the actual translation was superior strong right. Or was it impactful strong right? Regardless, the two of them are using very strong attacks as Bonnie, without realizing it, replicates Luffy's elephant gun. And the three of them slam into Luffy's back. And Bonnie's like, I can't believe this is hurting you. And Luffy's like, of course it's hurting me. You're using haki. So, just because I have it fresh in my brain, let me read that panel one more time on the manga. I'll be right back. So the exact wording in the panels is Luffy letting out a yelp of pain as Bonnie, with the big cartoon eyes coming out of her head, says, oh my gosh, are we actually hurting you? And Luffy says, of course it's gonna hurt if you actually use haki. The way these panels are presented sort of indicates that Bonnie either doesn't realize she was using haki, or Bonnie didn't realize haki could hurt Luffy. I'm not really sure what's going on in that the way that's specifically worded. Like, was it just a play on that Frankie and Sanji know not to hit Luffy with haki to make him not hurt, but still have the impact of the attack? Or was Bonnie overcompensating when she was hitting with literally everything she's got? Or, possible third possibility, Frankie was using haki? And all three of them were using everything they have? Regardless, Bonnie is a confirmed haki user just by this panel. I mean, it's kind of safe to assume these days that anyone you're talking to is using haki, especially if they made it this far in the new world. But I prefer it when the panels themselves confirm rather than just people's speculation. So maybe I'm analyzing a single panel too much, but it's an interesting wording that this happened. Anyways, the attacks are all absorbed into Luffy as he is ballooned forward. He's absorbing all the attacks, and he grabs onto Mars and he hits him with the Gum Gum Dawn balloon, and he just ricochets Mars, and you just see the little comical sparkle of something being launched away. A win by ring out, if there ever was one. Unfortunately, that is not the only problem we have on our hands. So let me just take a look here. Yes. So Atlas, who is on the boat after Mars got launched away, Atlas is talking to Sanji and Frankie and Bonnie and asks them, hey, what's the plan? What's going on here? And Sanji's like, I'm not really sure. It's like the enemy knows our every movement. And Atlas has a realization. Atlas, contacts the brain, which I assume connects to Lilith and York, who are the only ones left. And Atlas points out to Lilith, hey, York's tracking us. We're all connected to the same brain. I think we need to do something about that. And Atlas kind of goes off on her own. So I don't know what she and Lilith are going to plan, but this is either going to be the capture of York or the death of Vegapunk completely. We seem to be losing Vegapunks left and right, and as much as I love the three that we have left, Lilith's great, Atlas is cool, and, well, you all know my opinion on York. Anyways, it's clear that only one of these three is going to survive. Otherwise, the Elders will have access to whoever has access to the brain, and the brain itself, although if York doesn't survive, the Elders would have no reason not to blow up the brain, unless they want to figure out how to connect to it. I predict there will be one Vegapunk standing. I will not be so bold as to predict which one, though. Speaking of York, though, she has a realization because guess what? The signal is back on. Word for word, we cut to the snail inside of the Iron Giant saying, or I guess I should say repeating Vegapunk's message of, but actually, nothing of the sort. Bish, 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 kush, 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 a little bit of signal loss, which you might consider a will inherited through the years, kish, 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 something, 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 which I hope reaches those who needed to hear it, or, vaguely something like that. Because Oda said, hey, all you theorists out there, did you think this was the end of Vegapunk's speech? You silly billies. I just wanted to leave out the part about the D, because we've been asking that since chapter 1. Why would I answer that now? Oh, you, Oda. So York realizes the snail's still going. We actually cut to Whole Cake Island, where Katakuri's watching this, and we cut to the Island of Weird Creatures, where Gaimon and Sarfunkel are listening in on this message. But the important thing to keep in mind here is the snail is still going, and York tells the Elders, the message is going to complete itself. All you guys did was disrupt it. You kind of knocked the snail over, and the snail kind of got up, and the snail was just like, whoa, what happened? Are we good? Are we good? Oh, yeah, that's right, the message. I gotta, there we go. Send out the message again. But we skipped the part about the D, which sucks. That's actually the number one thing I was hoping we would learn about, or at least one of the big things I was hoping. We weren't going to learn what the One Piece was. We weren't. That's going to be for like maybe 10 chapters away from the ending, maybe 20 chapters away. Although knowing Oda, it could be 100 chapters away. Regardless, I really wanted to know what the D stood for. I'm predicting Dawn just because of everything we've been seeing up until now, but it could mean anything. The important thing to keep in mind here is that the Iron Giant must be broken through, not completely destroyed, but at least broken through to even get to that snail. And until then, the rest of Vegapunk's message is going to go through just fine. This raises the question, are the Elders devil fruit eaters, or are they actual monsters? Because if they're devil fruit eaters, and their powers come from a devil fruit, whether it's Eames' devil fruit granting them power, or they themselves had eaten each a devil fruit themselves, they can't get underwater to get that Iron Giant. Which means, if you really think about it, the safest place Vegapunk could have put the snail was actually underwater. Because then the Elders could never get to it. But I guess that would then raise the question, did Vegapunk know they had powers, or was this a surprise even to him? Speaking of the 5 Elders, Jupiter's back. We saw him a few chapters ago kind of Kirbying all the CP0 agents, and honestly, I thought he was just eating them for energy. Turns out, no, he sucked them all up so that he could transport them, and he kind of just haphazardly launched them at the ships. I don't know if that was an act of kindness or because the Seraphims happened to be in the room. Like, oh, the Seraphims are too good to pass up. We can't lose this technology. But my sucking power is indiscriminate, so I guess you guys are saved too. That's probably the most likely scenario. But the Cypher Pull agents have been returned. Luffy kind of punches the worm, sending him away before, because he starts trying to suck up the ship. But Luffy knows he can punch away the worm. The worm is not the physically strongest of them. He's just the tactical weaver. He's the teleporter. He's the transport unit. Sandworm, however, is not the one that Luffy needs to worry about, as Warcury the boar just kind of charges past Luffy. Luffy doesn't have enough time to respond as the giant warthog leaps over, heading straight for the ship, which, if his goal's to destroy the ship, then his goal was to sink into the ocean. No, I just realized that. If he was gonna, his goal was to sink the ship. Obviously, with his big, massive, meaty body, his goal was to sink the ship, which means he wouldn't be afraid of falling in the water. Either that, or he had a backup plan with the other, elders grabbing him, because if the goal is to keep their true forms a secret and he falls in the water, then he would change back. I mean, yes, we know comedically Chopper changes back into his little form when he falls in the water, but that would mean I'm looking forward to the explanation on the Five Elders' powers. It's okay, though. We don't have to worry about the ship being sunk, because as everyone's panicking, this massive warthog is coming towards them, and Luffy's like, ah, crap. The giants are like, oh, Bonnie, you can save them, and sadly, Bonnie shrunk, which I called it. Bonnie was not going to be able to maintain that form very long. I don't know why all you power scalers were out there thinking this completely diminishes Luffy's ability. Bonnie's 12 and has literally never been a gum fruit user. So I don't know why everybody thought she was going to last like as long as Luffy, even close to as long as Luffy. But anyway, she's powered down, so no one's there to stop the giant warthog heading towards them. But it's okay, because Luffy hears a voice that says, Joy Boy. And then the Iron Giant comes out of the water and punches Warcury with everything it's got, shattering one of his massive tusks as it does so. Which is cool. We know they can regenerate, so it's not that big of a deal. But still really cool, as it thinks to itself, remember, Emmett, only when the time is right. And then he thinks to himself again, the time? Question mark. So the real question here is Emmett the Iron Giant? Or is Emmett the man who built the Iron Giant? And who is talking to Emmett? Is this Emmett remembering something Joy Boy said to him? Is Emmett remembering something Emmett himself is thinking? Like when I talk to myself, you go, okay, remember, hero, you gotta do this. Or remember me, you gotta do this. Is he saying like, okay, I'm Emmett. Remember, Emmett, you gotta wait for the right timing. When is the timing? But that's all we get for this chapter. We're still building up to hopefully some answers, because yes, Vegapunk's speech was answers. The world is sinking. We know it's the result of the ancient weapons. The ancient weapons are still active. Roger's crew knows about the sinking world, but they just didn't tell anyone. But these are like answers to questions we already answered ourselves through guessing or through just other chapters. We knew that the Roger pirates know the truth. The rest of the world didn't. So this was an answer revealed to characters rather than to readers. I'm hoping it doesn't even have to be a long flashback. I would just like a brief look through the Iron Giant's eyes of just glimpses of things Joy Boy did. Reasons why Zunisha and this giant followed him. But I suppose we're going to have to wait. Unfortunately, we have a break, so I'll have to come up with something else to do for next Monday's video. Regardless of how it turns out, though, let me know in the comments below what you thought of this week's chapter. I would like to hear other people's thoughts outside my own. In fact, as soon as I'm done editing and uploading this, I'm going to start watching everybody else's thoughts like I always do. Thank you for watching as always, and I will see you in the next video. This is the Hero of Julios, Xing out.